Ruger SR1911 CMD, lightweight, thin grips, and Freedom 230 grain ball. See how it works at 12 yards. Seems to be okay. The mile-high city of Prescott, Arizona was for a brief period of the 1800s the territorial capital for the Arizona Territory. That didn't last long, and of course now that Arizona is a state and the capital has long moved out of Prescott. Prescott's still there though, and it's famous for something else. It is one of the manufacturing facilities for Ruger. And Prescott just happens to be where the Ruger 1911s are made. You've seen one of them so far on Riders Range when we looked at the Navy SEAL Foundation Ruger. Actually, we looked at that one twice so far. After this pair of Rugers that is in front of us tonight, we still have two more to look at. One more coming up in the Commander series and one more in the Officer series. Ruger Firearms has also been, for a number of years running now, the largest U.S. manufacturer of firearms, ahead of even Smith & Wesson. So today we're going to look at two Ruger Commanders. Now they don't call them Commanders, they call them the SR1911 CMDs. I guess Commander is taken up by Colt. They are typical Commanders in that they are full-size frames and a shortened slide cut down from the 5 inches of a government size down to 4 1/4 inches. We're going to look at one alloy frame Ruger Commander and one steel frame. And these guns, with the exception of two things, are, for all practical purposes, identical guns. One being the frame being aluminum on this one, steel on the other. So therefore there's a weight difference. We'll also talk about the grips and how they're different in just a little bit. Riders Range put these to the test, and we wanted to see if there's a real significant difference between the two guns. And they're little, but not a lot. Let's start right off with the weight though. The loaded weight for the alloy frame Ruger is 34.7 ounces. For the steel frame it's 42.7 ounces. The alloy comes in, actually, it's right between the weight of the old Colt Commander that we reviewed in Part 8 and the Wiley Clap that we also reviewed in Part 8. This comes in right about midway between them. So, similarities. There are many. And, well, let's start with the top. The sights are the same. The same Novak style 3-dot sights. These are not illuminated sights, they're strictly 3-dot. I've already expressed my opinion in other videos about 3-dot sights in general. But identical sights. The hammers, identical profile. The grip safety, beaver tail, identical profile. Triggers, identical profile. And basically all these parts look like they can be interchangeable. Now I haven't tried to do that, but I'm almost guessing that they would be. Back straps, both checkered. Front straps, both plain. These are both Series 70 style pistols. No firing pin block in them. Safeties are probably interchangeable. Magazine releases probably interchangeable. These, by the way, do not have full-length guide rods either. Really, everything about them, with the exception of the material for the frame and the grips, is going to be the same. And while we're talking, why don't we look at the grips? The grips on the steel frame are more traditional thickness. The grips on the alloy frame are thinner. And externally, that's about the only difference that you're going to find on these two guns. The triggers are even pretty close, with an average over 5 pulls on the lightweight Ruger of 4 pounds 5 ounces. It's just a hair lighter than the 5 pull average on the steel frame of 4 pounds 13 ounces. But put them in my hand and I couldn't tell the difference, certainly by the pull of the trigger. Triggers on these are, by the way, these guns are loaded, they've been safety inspected, and they're both empty. The triggers have a little bit of take-up, which is typical of most 1911s. Just a hair creep in there, not much at all, and it's crisp. Virtually no over travel, although both of these do have over travel stops on them. Short reset, and just a little bit of movement as it releases the sear. Not much at all though. Same thing with the steel frame, a little bit of take up, about the same as on the alloy frame. And this gun does have just a little bit of up and down movement in the trigger, so it's not precision fitted like a Wilson or even a Dan Wesson for that matter. A little bit of take up, very little bit of creep, about the same as on the alloy frame. Immediate stop after it releases. Short reset, and again, hard to tell the difference between these two guns side by side. A couple other things I want to mention on these guns. First of all is the fit and finish. While they're both probably CNC machines so that everything is in close tolerance, the extractor on the alloy frame gun does stick out just a hair more from the back of the frame, or back of the slide rather, than does the extractor on the steel gun. Just a hair. One of those things that that can be noticeable if you're looking for that, but then again, for the price range these guns are in, it's that certainly isn't a deal breaker. One other thing on the alloy frame that is important to mention, and I'll try to do a close-up still of this, but you can just barely see in there the feed ramp on the alloy frame. Now, one of the concerns on an alloy frame, if you're running a lot of hollow point ammunition through there, that theoretically that frame itself, if it's all aluminum, could start getting chewed up by the hollow points. So Ruger, rather than put a ramped barrel in on the 45 like a number of manufacturers do on their 9s, Ruger put a titanium feed ramp that's integrated into the frame. And that should cut down on any frame gouging with the with hollow point ammunition. And a very nice touch, and again, for this price range, I think that's it's a good thought and a good practice for Ruger. I haven't put enough hollow points through this thing to notice any difference yet, but I got to believe with that titanium ramp in there that I'm not ever going to have any problem with it. Do they shoot any different? As far as basic accuracy, they shoot about the same. The Commander shoots just a little bit high, not any real complaints on it. I like the grouping a little better on the steel. It seems to shoot a little better at 25 yards. I think some of that's just the weight of the gun shooting at 45. It does shoot just ever so slightly to the right, but these have drift adjustable sights, so moving them back onto a windage isn't going to be an issue. If it shoots a little high, the only real solution to that is to put a taller front sight in or to compensate. Now, all of these were done on a 3-inch circle at 15 yards doing a center hold. Now, we did have one system stoppage with the steel frame gun. I'm going to attribute that to ammunition, though. We've been shooting Freedom ammunition out of this, and I've had several stoppages now of a similar type, failing to properly feed with Freedom, that I really haven't had with any other ammo. We didn't take the time on this particular outing to run a lot of other ammo through the gun, but I'm sure if I put some of the other quality ammunition through there that I wouldn't have any problems. Both of these guns have well over 500 rounds to them, and they've been running very, very good. I haven't had any kind of issues with them so far. Now, neither one of these is going to be a tack driver at 50 yards. Again, I think some of that is more ammo related. I stuck pretty much with the silhouette of the 10-inch plates at 50 yards, and even then wasn't consistently hitting the 10-inch. But again, I believe that's more ammo related, and it could have been me. I might have had too much caffeine that day. But I like both the guns, and if you look at our last review where we looked at a 1972 vintage, I don't know, I put these guns up against the Wiley Clap any day. Certainly put them way ahead of that 72 vintage Commander that I have. For the price, these are good guns. And speaking of price, you can get the steel frame one for about $929, manufacturer suggested price currently, although you can pick them up new for $700 plus, used $650-ish. The alloy frame runs about $979, manufacturer suggested. You can find new alloy frame Rugers. There aren't a lot of them out there, but I've seen a couple of them in the 770 plus bracket, and I haven't seen any of those on the used market lately, but they do come up periodically, and I'm going to guess those are still going to be around 700 or so. They're going to command about a $50 premium right now over the steel frame. I'm not going to pick a winner or loser on this. They're two different guns as far as weight, but everything else is the same about them. They both work with anything I put in them except that one round of Freedom ammunition. They're both accurate enough for a defensive gun. If I'm going to carry one all day long, I'd take the lightweight. If I'm going to shoot it a lot, I'd take the steel. Otherwise, they're both good guns, made in good old Prescott, Arizona. Next up in the 1911 series is going to be another pair of Commanders. These are going to be from Smith & Wesson. Very similar guns, but again, dissimilar in other ways. So, kind of like comparing the two Colts, the two Rugers, they're the same, but not the same. If you like Riders Range videos, by all means, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time we post a new one. And to see what our playlist is, or to get any more information, or to find out how we define affordable in the Great Affordable 1911 series, go to our website, www.ridersrange.com. And again, I want to thank you for visiting Riders Range.
Ruger SR1911 CMD, stainless steel. About a half a pound heavier than the lightweight. This one was drooping pretty good. Let's see how it works on steel. Very nice.